We have
Makeup with me.
Yay!
70. Okay. Pick from the black bag.
Why were you went with the purse thing was better? It's
Because you know how heavy that damn purse is?
My hand is too big to fit in this little dinky.
I'll come up with something better then.
Yes, I can't even hardly get my hand in this thing.
There's no pleasing. This one, really? Every time.
I can't
you
get
know what?
Fish around.
Anybody out there selling makeup, hit me up because really I need to get some different ones.
Oh, yeah. What do we need?
Roy's going to promote me. But this one's called Tipsy by Lip Crush. It's a lip oil. No, because you pick all the same ones.
Well, I can't get my hand. I can barely pick one out of there with that little baggy thingy or whatever the hell it is.
Are we? I love it.
Somebody got a new toy today.
I love it.
And I hope you all are going to enjoy it because I think you're going to hear it a lot here for a while.
Well, my beating stick seemed to go away.
Somebody stole your beating stick. It wasn't me. It's probably on the floor.
What did you do with it?
It usually winds up on the floor.
How's it wind up? Oh, yeah, it's by Jesse's feet.
Told you.
Anyways.
Of that.
I wanted to do some dad jokes, but I didn't have any. Do you have any good jokes?
I'm not good at jokes.
You're not?
No.
I believe that. Well, really quick.
I never got, I don't know, I never got into telling them, and I just...
Today is International Day of Friendship. So anybody out there that wants to wish their friend a happy...
Can we just have one?
What?
One day of whatever, not 27.
Well, it's International Day of Friendship,
That's
National Cheesecake Day, National Chili Cheese Dog Day, and National Father-in-Law Day.
So
you have 4 options.
Well, in the future, my thing is, it's like the participation trophy thing. If there's 27 national days, they don't mean anything. Should be one national day.
But it's International Friendship Day.
Okay.
Happy Friendship Day, guys.
That was said real enthusiastically.
It's said to get you to shut up and put us on Facebook.
That's for the guy to hit the button and shut us up.
Hit the button, shut us up, please. Happy International Friendship Day, friends. Oh. Speakers off. Speakers on.
There's that funky slide guitar music. Comes on every day live at 5 on iNewswire on Facebook and
YouTube.
Wow. We got that on there, even though our timer's off because somebody didn't hit the button at 5 o'clock.
That would be our producer's fault. Wow, I got my own button pushed on me.
Ha, ha. So you bring in new toys.
Well, you know how to push everybody's buttons, Rory, so you're welcome.
That's probably a lot of it. That's a true statement. I've been accused of that a lot ever since I was a little kid.
Yeah, but make sure all of you guys go to our YouTube channel and hit that like and subscribe button so that way you get prompted every time that we go live.
Why don't you why don't everybody start sharing or go to the YouTube channel, put it on there, and share it on your social media pages. And
you get a little extra bonus content, too, before we start on Facebook.
I'm telling you, the first...
They're very interesting.
First 3 minutes, yes, are very different, let's put it that way, of what we
They're not done by Roy.
And and you're not going to... And you don't see them anywhere but Facebook.
YouTube.
Or YouTube.
See, you don't even know how to plug the damn thing right.
Go
to YouTube and like it.
Must be the hot weather.
We need subscribers.
My brain
Once we hit 100 subscribers, we should do something cool. Let's give away a T-shirt.
There you go. Well, yeah,
Ooh, yeah.
we should. We got our new thing too, and maybe we'll set it up, or we're qualified on that. And it is, and maybe we'll give away some prizes on that if you want to become a supporter on Facebook for IE Newswire.
I love giving away prizes.
If you, maybe maybe we'll give maybe we'll come up with a promotion for the 25th and maybe 50th and 100th, the one that comes on. And yeah, we should pick some promotions to do that to reward our very, very highly intelligent and qualified listeners that listen to this program.
Yep. I'm excited. I love giveaways. That's all I heard there was giveaway.
Remember, nothing's free.
No, because you're going to pay for it.
There you go. Somebody somewhere pays for it. It's not free should not be a word in the dictionary. It's an oxymoron because there is nothing free.
But people like when you say free, though.
I know.
It makes people happy.
It goes to the psychology.
So then don't be
of how
you're
people,
being a down. What is it? A Dallas Downer?
I think it's Debbie Downer.
Well, you're not a female, so I went with Dallas. You're welcome. I could have went with Ned. Negative Ned. Oh, you're so... Dude, if you weren't a Roy, you would be a Ned. You look like Ned from Homer Simpson, or from The Simpsons.
Pull up the picture.
Oh, my gosh.
Pull up the picture of that. We'll see the comparison of that.
Okay.
That was one of the few... I have seen The Simpsons a few times, and when it was first started out, it was actually a pretty decent show. I don't know. Is it still running?
I can't believe you just asked that.
Well,
of course it is.
The Simpsons are still on, because that was a pretty neat...
They're coming out with a second movie, but then all this stuff happened, so I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? Pull up Ned. Oh, that's the guy. Is that that was a professor or something? Oh, what was Ned Flanders? I don't remember.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, the death of Ned Flanders. That's what it is.
Uh-oh.
Homer, did you remember to
Is that a little subliminal that you're trying to kill me?
No, it's not. I was trying to pull up a picture, but it's not working, and it's hard to use the mouse with my left hand.
So what was Ned Flanders' deal on there?
He was an annoying neighbor that knew everything. Oh, my God. You are freaking Ned Flanders.
What was the other one you called? Oh, Sheldon. No, Sheldon was the other one.
Oh, yeah, Sheldon.
What other one you get? So he's like the cartoon equivalent of Sheldon, huh?
Yeah. No, Ned's cool. He's a good guy.
Okay.
You look like him, though. If you had glasses, could we get glasses like that and put them on you?
I guess. I don't care.
Yeah. Halloween. You be Ned. I'll be Marge. No, I want to be Lisa. Yeah, I'll be Lisa. No, I'll be Marge. She'll be easier. What would Jesse be? He'll be the comic book guy.
I don't know. Yeah, that would be Jesse. You got it. That would be.
Jess, we got your Halloween costume figured out.
Yes, we got that. On to some serious stuff before we get all tipped over on this. This is why, politics and the stuff is important. Because, Governor Hairgel has done this, and he threatened to, if you don't conform to my lockdown orders and this and that, and we'll get into that. What I said yesterday is going to be apropos of that. When I talked about it doesn't mean they're always going to raise the bar, change the rules on this whole coronavirus thing. And we went through that. It doesn't matter what we do or what they come up with. They're always just going to keep stepping this up. But Hairgel threatened. He said, we're going to, if you don't comply with us, we're going to withhold money. And what they're doing is withholding the CARE Act, which is federal money, which is all of our money. It's just our money. But it came from us to the federal government, down to the state of California, and they're dispersing it to the cities. Melissa Melendez, our state senator out here, had something to say about this too. But Coalinga and Atwater both basically gave Gruesome the finger and said, we ain't locking down. We're not torturing our cities. So this is a news report on there from, I think, Coalinga of that. Here we go on the deal. Let's roll it.
This year, the cities of Atwater and Coalinga each passed policies to keep businesses up and running during the pandemic, contrary to the state's public health orders. Now both cities are paying the price. California's Office of Emergency Services says Atwater and Coalinga are the only cities in the state that have been handed down letters like these. The one to Atwater City Manager Lori Waterman says the resolution passed in mid-May declaring Atwater a sanctuary city for all businesses makes the city ineligible for up to $387,000 in state assistance. The letter to Coalinga City Manager Marissa Trejo is similar. It cites the resolution passed in late May declaring all businesses essential, making Coalinga ineligible for up to $212,000 in state money. Councilmember Adam Atkinson says the city of Coalinga should consider a lawsuit.
Congress passed the CARES Act without conditions. They passed the CARES Act to give to the cities and counties. When it got to the state decided they wanted to make conditions put on it, which I don't believe they have the authority to do.
So there you go. As we've done that, and I've said, this was federal money, came with no strings attached. But It's up to the states to distribute it out to the cities and
Right.
counties and however of that. So hair gel up there of that. And again, it just like, oh, shouldn't he be president? Oh, he's so good looking and yada, yada, yada. Is this what you want? Some guy, if
You always go back to that. You gotta move on and get over that part,
If-
Ned.
well, that's going to be important coming up.
He's not running for president
We got to remind people, no, we're stuck with him as our idiot governor.
unless they go to recall Gavin 2020.
Yes. Do you want to go through all this rigmarole all the time and get hosed under the workbench with all this stuff? This is why it's important. Newsom is saying through that letter through Cal OES, Office of Emergency Services, if you declare your city as all businesses essential, you're going to get cut off from funds. So this is the other part of this thing. Melissa Melendez, I said the state senator come out, San Francisco, L.A., are getting the bulk of these funds. They're getting like $174 per resident. Now, Melissa Melendez just got elected state senator, and now she's representing from Lake Elsinore up to Temecula, Murrieta, across Hemet, all the way to the desert in there. She's taking in that Jeff Stone's old district. But basically, the whole south end of Riverside County is basically the whole deal. You know what? How much those cities are getting? Because they're not voting for Democrats. They actually voted somebody with at least half a brain, Melissa Melendez, in office. $12.81 per resident. About 15 times less than Yoga Pants down there in L.A., that idiot Garcetti, Sacramento, and everything else. So this is the war is on. Newsom, if you live out in the suburbs or the hinterlands or where actually people act like Americans and don't destroy their cities and support organizations like Black Lives Matter that are Marxist and everything else, all this whole thing, you're going to get you know what. Now, when Trump was on to his press conference today, we have it on IEN. He said, we should be opening up our economy. We should be opening up our schools. If there's a hot spots or few of them in there, we can take care of them. But the vast majority of America should be opened up. 33% reduction in GDP in the second quarter of this year. That's from March to June. Unprecedented. I don't even think, they did the statistics we didn't even have a little different, but if I'm reading it right, we didn't even have this big of a crash in a quarter in the Great Depression.
Really?
Correct.
That's scary.
This is the biggest quarterly decline in GDP over this. And it was freaking unnecessary. 100%. Now, you got the sawed-off little guy up there. Because
Who's that?
Who do you think?
I don't know.
Dr. Anthony Fauci, the sawed-off guy.
Why do you call him a sawed-off guy?
Because he's a short little blank and we put it up there off the Congress, and he's going on with the mask. And as soon as the hearing is over, he's up there with that smug little arrogant look with his mask off, like F you, all you people. Like I said yesterday, no matter what, all of you that are supporting this masks and all this other stuff, and I said, it's not going to stop. They always raise the bar. Well, this couldn't have come out at a better time. Anthony Fauci suggested Wednesday on ABC News that Americans should consider wearing goggles or a face shield in order to prevent the spreading or catching of COVID-19. In quotes from the sawed-off guy. If you have goggles or an eye shield, you should use it, the nation's top infectious disease expert at ABC News told Chief Medical Correspondent Dr. Jennifer Ashton during Instagram Live conversation. When asked if we were going to get to the point where eye protection is recommended, the director of the Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease responded, it might if you really want a perfect protection of muscorial surfaces. What did we hear in the whole deal? Well, don't wear the face shield because it's going to
Why?
because the coronavirus or the droplets are just going to go sideways and stuff like that, and it's not protecting you. You got to have the mask on and all this other stuff. And now we're onto the mask. So the next step is now we're all going to have to wear what? hermetically sealed like the skiers wear with the goggles that are, with the big band and the.
But you know what? My kids wear their goggles all the time when they go swimming, and they have I tell them you have permanent superhero mask on. So
Yeah, we all
that's
going to
a
be
plus side.
Michael Phelps. We're going to have to wear goggles.
But really, what the hell is goggles
Oh, now
gonna do?
because now you can get coronavirus through your eyes.
Seriously?
That's what they're claiming. Well, you probably
This disease
yes,
is like
because and that's what they said in the beginning when you
miracle.
touch your face, and that's how you get. That's how bacteria. That's how you get immune to this stuff. Is you touch your face and stuff, and you pick up these viruses, and you get the herd immunity, or a new one of this on a study that
goggles. Really?
just came in.
You're kidding.
No, I said it yesterday. Go back and read. I said right at the top of the show. I said they're just going to keep raising the bar on this stuff. Look at what they've done.
Is any other state doing this though? Or are we like the only ones?
Of what?
All these ridiculous goggles, masks.
No, that we're going through the whole gamut. They're trying to scare the living crap out of everybody on this stuff. And you know what? Coronavirus is going to do its thing. There's nothing you're going to do about it. And here's one. This is in the press enterprise. Healthcare workers may be less, not more susceptible to coronavirus, study suggests. Now let's get into real science. And guess who's been saying this? And a lot of the people who have been on the show have been reiterating things like this. Despite the headlines you see saying healthcare workers are at higher risk for contracting the disease, we haven't seen that, says Hoag Hospital researcher. Now, let's go back when we were running the stuff in New York City was hotter than a firecracker on this, and we were running the Governor Andrew Cuomo from New York ones, and he said, and they were trying to do it with the minorities. They're disproportionately healthcare workers, and the disease is spreading like this, and on and on and on. We were hearing all that. Mind you, Cuomo said, I'm not doing these models anymore because they've all been BS. But you're going to keep hearing about the models and stuff. Back to the article. Healthcare workers may be less susceptible to COVID-19 infection than people in the communities they serve, according to a surprising early data study, ongoing study at Hoag Memorial Hospital Presbyterian. Some 3,000 workers tested in May and June. Only 1% had antibodies to the novel coronavirus in their blood, despite the fact that the Newport Beach Hospital cared for hundreds of COVID-19 patients. How does this happen? Guess what? We are going to show you. That is 1% far lower than has been found in wider communities. Some 4 to 6% residents in Los Angeles, Santa Clara, and Riverside counties have had COVID-19 antibodies where surveillance testing was done over the recent weeks and months. This is what surprises people. Dr. Michael Brandt Zawadzki, principal investigator. Despite the headlines you're seeing saying healthcare workers are at higher risk of contracting disease, we haven't seen that fact. In fact, we're seeing the reverse of that. The question is why? Well, if you took junior high or high school biology, you would have figured this out. And you would have figured out when they're telling you not to touch your face or not spread, bacteria is bad and all these viruses are going to kill you and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Remember when Dr. Kelly was on Tuesday?
Yes.
And she gave us the explanation because she's a doctor, trauma surgeon, and people ask her all the time, well, why do you wear masks when you're in surgery?
Right.
And she explained to that.
She did it great too. I love how she
totally
explained
different
it.
environment. We're in there. We got open wounds.
She basically said that they wear the mask to make sure that she doesn't sneeze into like your gut that's like wide open or anything like that. Or
But
your brain.
They're if you want, but you take they're constantly refreshing the air, cleaning it, antiseptic it, everything down, yada, yada, yada. It's a whole totally different environment.
Right.
It's not living every day. Back to the article. The rigorous precautions in worker education common at Hoag said other hospitals, mask and gloves, gowns, disinfection, distancing surely play a role in preventing the spread of the disease, and hospital workers are likely to bring a level of vigilance home applied to the rest of their lives. He said the second possibility, fueled by speculation, emerging science, is that antibodies are not a be-all, end-all of the immunity, and against the viruses, Brandt Zawadzki said, there is another type of immunity that protects you. It's called COVID-19, correct?
I believe so.
it's one of the coronavirus families, the number 19th or whatever it is, or 19th in, as
'Cause-
Dr. Kelly and other experts have said, coronaviruses have been around for decades.
But that one's 19 because it merged 2019.
Part of the deal. There are all kinds of coronaviruses. They can be common cold, they can be flu, they can be this, that. Here's more from the article. How does it square with this highly infectious organism when only 1 in 5 people are infected? Brent Zawensky said, we are all biologically different, and we have learned there's another type of immunity that's acquired through infection. Healthcare workers may actually have a greater presence of cross-reactive adaptive T-cell medicated immunity than those in the community. Translated, that means because they're exposed to a wide range of sick people and their attendant bacteria and viruses, healthcare workers may have a more robust repertoire of T-cells that can kick into action and fight infection. How many times have I and had the experts on that said that? This is how you build up your immunity. It's not only getting the virus. If you are immune to coronaviruses in general, or you built it up, or your system is healthy, you are much less even if you do get it, much less likely to have any sort of symptoms, or if you do get, or very mild symptoms. And other than that, here's the kicker. We've been talking about this. Of that. That might explain why young children, a variable cesspool of viruses, how many times is it when a cold or flu season and it hits the first kid in school, and within a week, 90% of everybody, parents, schools, everybody is sick with the flu, cold, or whatever. Isn't that correct? I mean, it just spreads like wildfire.
Yeah.
So back to the article. Seem to be far less likely to get sick from COVID than adults, as several studies found. T cells are robust in the young and drop off as people age, Brent Zawesky said. So this explains, tentatively, why it is affecting and having devastating, if not deadly, consequences to elderly people. You know, their T cells, immune systems are down, not as reactive, not as stuff of that. And this is where COVID-19 is very potentially dangerous. For 99 or whatever, 90 plus something or other percent of the population, it is actually less dangerous than the cold and flu. And of that, of wearing, not wearing, masks, of that. But it goes back to the study is saying it could be a small percentage of it, and I'm not discounting it, the healthcare workers that wear masks and do all that stuff, others. But like it said, because they're not getting as sick per their study, because they're exposed to this stuff all the time, their bodies have developed a stronger immune system, T-cell count, antibodies in their T-cells to fight this stuff. So when they get exposed to it, their bodies naturally fight it off. What have we been saying across this show from day freaking one?
To me, that's
the same thing.
Common sense, though.
Yes. And somebody shot common sense about 4 months ago. We must have hung them in the we must have used that so-called noose that wasn't a noose, that was supposed to be in Bubba Wallace's garage. We must have used it to hang common sense. Because that's where it's went. You said it exactly perfectly. Everything's going out the freaking window of this. Everybody's panicking over all this stuff for absolutely nothing. Coronavirus is going to do what it's going to do. And there's pretty much... Probably, as Dr. Kelly, I think, said the first, if you got it right at the beginning of this stuff and you really lock down on it might be effective. But once it's out of the bag, you're basically...
David! Hang on.
What?
He just became a monthly supporter. I think you're our first one.
We ain't even promoted
I love you,
it.
David.
We ain't even promoted it, and he already is. Heck,
Yay!
Wow.
David! Everyone follow David.
Yes. Well, maybe he doesn't want to be followed.
Follow his actions. Is what
And
I meant.
now there you got it.
Well, he knew what I meant.
He might want to be followed. If David, put in there if you want followers, crank it up. We'll help you out on that. We'll do that.
Sorry, I had to shout that out.
No, that's
I
great.
need you to stop.
Heck, I didn't even know that. I mean, I
You need to
just
stop talking for a
I
minute.
just set that up last night. They said, "Well, yeah, you can do this." So I said, "Yeah, okay, whatever," and that. So wow, that's something else. But no, we've said this from day one. On the why did you give him a buzzer for that? You should.
I was buzzing you to get you to stop talking.
Well, you think that's going to do it?
I did. It worked. I love this thing. Thank you, Lucy.
Of that.
If anyone ever wants me to hit the buzzer, just say buzzer, and I'll hit it.
But no, we've said it across the whole board on that. And here's the the more of that. Everybody was hollering about Sweden. Sweden didn't lock down. Sweden didn't do this. Sweden didn't wear masks. Sweden, well, they kept elementary schools open. I think they closed high schools and some middle schools, but no masks, no social distancing. They did get gatherings down. Everybody's Sweden is going. Everybody's going to die. And you were hearing the dominant media saying that, and even Trump was casing on Sweden, this and that. And
Wait, who was?
Trump.
What was he doing?
He was casing on Sweden because Sweden's was taking a hands-off approach on this. Same like he was doing Brian Kemp of Georgia and other things. Sweden unveils probably promising COVID-19 cases as new cases plunge. This is in Bloomberg on that. As other countries face renewed outbreaks, Sweden's latest COVID-19 figures suggest is rapidly bringing the virus under control. That Sweden has come down to these levels is very promising. State epidemiologist Anders Tegnell told reporters in Stockholm Tuesday. This guy was stood up from the beginning and said, we, like the United States, we missed it. We missed the health care of the elderly people. We're basically just going to have to ride this thing out. We'll try and protect the elderly as best we can. Do everything for them, make sure our hospitals are not overwhelmed in that, but take a few precautions of this, but basically it's going to do. And everybody was jumping all over this guy like, everybody in Sweden was going to die. All this stuff.
Carla writes in, I'm so over COVID, they have us on a nightmare roller coaster.
Yes. That's what I've been telling you. Like I said yesterday.
Stop shouting at everybody. You're scaring us. Calm down. You're going to hurt yourself.
Masks. Tegnell also broached the subject of face masks, which the World Health Organization.
Wow.
This
is a whole different show.
Boy, was that a Freudian slip. Organization recommends people use when social distancing is possible. Remember back in them they were saying don't wear masks, but back with the article. With the numbers diminishing very quickly in Sweden, we see no point in wearing a face mask in Sweden, not even in public transport, he said. Tegnell consistently argued that Sweden's approach is more sustainable than sudden lockdowns imposed elsewhere, with the risk that COVID-19 might be around for years. He says completely shutting down society isn't a long-term option. I go back, and that's why I brought out the stats that came out today. Gross domestic product down 33%. That means 50% reduction in, of what we had the quarter before. We killed our economy. Trump basically said the same thing today. We unnecessarily killed our economy, put our citizens in peril, probably putting them their health in long term for a lot of reasons that we've been over in peril of that. Now we're trying to kill our kids' education over this. And as Trump said today, and I hope California's fighting this. The teachers union.
I heard about that.
And I want to see this. I want to see the teachers union or individual teachers come out and say, screw them, we want to go back to class because they're being silent. Your teachers union, if they are saying that, they are representing you. And until you come out and counteract that, you're supporting it. So let's cut to the chase. Let's quit. If you're for kids' education, then you stand at your school and say, open this darn thing up. I'm ready to go in.
He's been on rant all day.
On that. And that's what like Trump said, you should be, parents should, if your school is not opened up, you should take that, you should be given that money, whatever it is.
But you need to also tell them where they go to, because
No.
I'm telling you, they don't know where to go and stand up to. Who do you go talk to?
Why don't you start rallying down at, I'll give you the address, 25634 Alessandro Boulevard in Moreno Valley. That is the Moreno Valley Unified School District headquarters. And we'll publish every school district's headquarters of that. Be like Orange County.
Hi, Sean.
They are suing the state of California
Hi,
saying, we want to open our schools up now. We want, screw you, Newsom. Why don't you get the Riverside County, march down to the Riverside County Board of Education, say we want to join the Orange County lawsuit because it will cost you nothing because the lawyers for Orange County are representing them pro bono, which means they are not charging them for it. So it will not cost you absolutely nothing to join our, and I'm sure they would welcome the support of other school districts, county boards of education, or anybody else to join in.
Carla writes in, I heard that some people are
30
getting COVID
seconds.
for the second time. I doubt that.
It's because we probably, I've been saying this, and I've said
David
the
writes
intro.
in, and he's our supporter, so I'm going to cut you off. He writes, ask Roy what he thinks about delaying the election. Melon ballots, ?
We'll do that when we come back after the break because we're going to be joining KMET in about 10
All right, guys,
seconds.
here we go. 10 seconds. T90am.com and download your free
Nailed
phone
it.
app today. IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday at 5:30 on the Mighty Bet
1490.
KMET, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire on that. And we had a kind of a, well, it sounded out, we kind of started out a little on the chill side, but then we
And then you took over. You just went on this rant of like, I couldn't even get a word in. And, I want to give another shout out to David. He is our first supporter. We love you, David. Thank you so much.
Yes, you can.
It means a lot.
You can support. You can go if you're watching, or go to watch on IE Newswire
On Facebook.
On Facebook, on that, and click on if you can become a monthly supporter of our broadcast. I think it's only $5 a month.
But you know
on
what I
that.
want to do? I want to
And-
do something fun too,
Yes.
like maybe Fridays. Let our supporters kind of pick what we talk about.
That, or yeah, maybe we'll even have a runoff or a contest of which one of our supporters will be co-host for the day.
That would be cool. So you're out and they're in. I love it because I know you're not going to take me out.
Co-host, not host.
Damn it!
I
So
don't
you're
know.
kicking me out?
I don't know. No, well, no. We can put up.
Wow! You
Well,
see how he did that?
we
You
can
see
fu-
how he did that?
We have had up to 4. We could probably do, if we really wanted to squeeze it, but it'd be tight. We do 6. But no, we can have 4
No, we're
people
not
in
doing
here.
6.
We've had 4 in here. A few times on that. Yeah, we can do 4. We can do 4 in here pretty comfortably on the old stationerini. So, what was it that Daniel asked? Since he's our first supporter, first one rolling in, that he wanted to know something just as we were coming back from the break, or as we were going on the break on that.
It was. I'm trying to
was.
find his comment now. They like to disappear on me. Somewhere I can't find the exact comment. Somewhere along the lines about a delayed election with mail-in ballots.
Yes. Trump was on the Twitter machine, and this is my deal on
Give
Trump.
a shout out to Josh. Josh is a supporter now too.
Josh, the Trump put it out on the Twitter machine, and this is, I mean, I don't have no proof of it, but this is what I imagine what Trump does. So he's probably sitting there, either flying on the plane or maybe getting ready to go to bed or something, and say, I think I'll just screw with these yo-hos today, and puts it out. So he puts out this tweet. See if you can find the tweet, the Trump tweet on there of where he put out on the elections. Yeah. You just go.
Yes, please.
Yes, on that. Trump, he said, well, we may have to cancel the elections because of voter fraud and all this stuff. And it is. It is on the deal. So you can come on the, and it is. I am very concerned about this whole mail-in ballot initiative.
You're sitting right in front of the keyboard. I love it.
On the deal.
What am I looking for?
The
Trump smelling.
Yeah, Trump on the election tweet of that. So he said, yeah, we might have to, look at moving the elections for that, yada, 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 which he knows he can't. Only Congress can set the date of the election of that. And the president can't call off the election.
You're welcome.
So he does that. Thank you. Of that. Well, you're at least for getting me in the direction. Yes, here it is. Put it up on the number 4. Here's the tweet from the real Donald J. Trump. With the universal mail-in ballot voting, not absentee voting, which is good, 2020 will be the most inaccurate and fraudulent election in history. It will be a great embarrassment to the USA. Delay the election until people can properly and securely and safely vote. So we'll have Melissa and Murray coming on here in a few minutes. But yes, they had, and I think it was in Philadelphia, wasn't able to find it, but they did a study of that. They took and set up a post office
Doris
box.
writes in, the mail-in ballots are disastrous.
Yes, and I'm going to tell you why. This television station or news station set up a P.O. box at one of the post offices. I think it was Philadelphia or somewhere. They did 100 mail-in ballots, like the envelope they get wherever the jurisdiction was, yada, 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 sent them in within a week and gave them a week. Sent them in within a week. Hardly any of them ever got in the post office box. So they go over to the post office. Oh, the post office says, oh, yeah, they're sitting over here in a box somewhere. So they finally kicked over the dust off the box, and this is like 2 weeks later of that. And still, even with them backtracking and researching it all, still only 97 of the 100 got to be counted. So 3% did not make it through, even with them going to the post office and finding out why they didn't get the ballots back and anything else. Even in the best case scenario, 3%. That could be disaster. How many states across the electoral colleges stuff were decided by 3% or less? I mean, so Trump is on it when he's talking about this, the mail-in ballot and the ballot harvesting. Susan Shelley's been on that. She's been really studying that. No place LA's been terrible about this whole ballot harvesting thing. Ballot harvesting is before you had to turn in or mail in, or you could deliver your ballot. You had to either mail it in or deliver your ballot to the register of voters polling place. Then they came up with ballot harvesting. So what ballot harvesting is say you got a absentee mail-in ballot or whatever. Let's say your mom does. Let's say your friends do. Da 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 da. I can say, okay, fill them all out, and I can go around to all your houses or whatever, pick them all up, and I can deliver a box of ballots to the registrar of voters.
But if the ballot goes into the box and nobody can remove that ballot, I wouldn't have a problem with that. I think mail-in ballots are great for those that can't go to the polls, but I think it takes away from the whole thing.
And that's what Trump said. Absentee ballots are good. Like Trump said,
for those that need it.
Yes, my residence is Florida.
Right.
I vote in Florida. I'm going to be in Washington, D.C. Our military are out. People are on vacation. Let's say you planned a vacation and that's the way it used to be. You had to say, okay, and show them, okay, this is my flight on November, whatever, to that. I'm going to be out of the country or in a different state or whatever. then they would say, okay, we will send you an absentee ballot for this election on that, and we will go with that. So other that, and to get a different perspective on that, and
to get Roy to stop talking.
I didn't even have to say that, but I knew what you were thinking if you beat me to it.
Not that we don't love hearing your voice, but I always love our next guest's voice way better.
I'm not going to take that. I'm going to take that as the compliment, I hope, that I got on that, which I don't think it was intended that way.
It totally was.
But that, you can find her on Twitter. It says Missy, Political Vanguard, many other places all across the social media and broadcasting networks. But most important, she's on with us on KMET, The Mighty Met, on IE Newswire Daily with Stephanie and Roy. Melissa and Marie, welcome back to the show. I think of that, on that. Do we have you now? Are you there?
I can hear you.
There you go. Now we got you back up.
There she is.
Yes, after that great
I was like, oh
introduction.
no, where did
On
she
that-
go? Don't leave me.
So, I don't know if you heard that, but I mean, we've been going across a lot of things. But just before you came on, one of our listeners asked about the famous Trump tweet that came up yesterday about the mail-in ballots and all that stuff on that. What's your take on the whole mail-in ballot situation?
It should never be allowed. It is, listen, this isn't a Trump issue. This is an American issue. We have to ensure that each vote goes for one person, and that person is a registered voter. This mail-in ballot situation was a mess in Arizona. I don't know if you remember the last election where the senator in the Senate race, where they had mail-in ballots that were coming in after the election, and they all swung for the Democrats. Now, you're legally in Arizona supposed to have your mail-in ballot 2 weeks ahead of time so they can do all these cross-references, make sure. Well, when they got flooded at the end, the Democrats said, count all the votes, count all the votes. So God knows whether those votes were correct or not. So they pushed them in the end. Suddenly, all these were found. And so they circumvented the law that said you had to have them in early so we could do all this cross-referencing. I saw it on a small scale. That's not with the whole state being in mail-in ballots. We're just talking about a percentage of the state, and it was a disaster. So everywhere it's been tried, it's a disaster. And I think Trump needs to. I literally was talking to my daughter about this yesterday, and I said, "This is the thing that scares me." And then Trump tweets about that, and I'm fully with him. We have to have in-person voting. I mean, you can go to the grocery store. You can go to the grocery store. You can go to the doctor's office. You can go to all these places. We can't have in-person. You can actually go to a restaurant now. I mean, in California, you can't sit inside, but you can go to a restaurant. You can do all these things, but you can't have voting where you can space. You can space 6 feet apart. You can do all kinds of things. It's just nonsense. And so I think Trump has to stand for each voter in America.
I couldn't agree more, and this has been concerning me on this whole thing. I mean, in Riverside County, I mean, I would say even 10 years ago, but 20 years ago, you might have 10 or 15% absentee or mail-in ballots.
Yeah.
It's almost getting like 70 to 80% mail-in ballots in the same thing of like this. In the same scenario, LA County, everything else, where in the true absentee ballots used to break Republican. Now they're breaking overwhelmingly with this, with ballot harvesting and all that. And I've got to dig out that study or that news report that they did. I think it was in Philadelphia about where they set up the deal in that. And it will even blow your mind more than like the Arizona thing does of that, of what happens with these mail-in ballots at the post office and stuff.
It's not acceptable. And you know what I don't understand? I mean, I know this is maybe controversial, but...
and by all means, let's let it rip.
Okay, did you do the census where you logged in, you did all that? It seems secure. Like, why can't we have voting that's secure like that? Like they took the census, and you could cross-reference Social Security numbers, your IP address, and we could have each party could have their own database managers to make sure that each party was, to make sure that who's ever counting those databases is accurate. I don't understand why we can't change to something that's very secure online. We can apply for our taxes online, okay? Very secure portal situation on identity and also with the census, but somehow with voting. So I think every time that the Democrats don't want that, because we could actually identify a voter with a Social Security, with an IP address, okay? Anytime there's a way to sneak around and do something with the voting, the Democrats are for it, and I don't get it, other than the fact that they know the only way for them to win is to cheat. And that is unacceptable in America.
It should be unacceptable, but with all the other
she
stuff
has a
that's
great
going
point,
on.
though. I like
Yes.
that with the electronic one. Why
Well,
don't they do that?
I'm more old fashioned than that. I say if you can't get your rear end down to the freaking polls once every 2 to 4 whatever election, it's not that big of a deal.
What do you mean? How's
What?
that not that big of a deal? You're so grumpy today.
But again, the whole thing about the whole thing about the electronics and manipulation and what we went through
But
with the whole thing doesn't set well with me before, just because I have a mistrust of that whole operation anyway. Of that, it's bad enough with the old poll way of doing it. I mean, Chicago, Riverside County had their own deal with that too. Of that. I mean, there's enough fraud you can do with the poll voting thing. The other stuff.
Well,
every
let's
time
say that you should be able to have a database with people's thumbprint or something.
Yes, I'm for the ID
there
part.
Is a way,
yes,
there is a way to have an ID associated with a human being to have your vote counted. I don't understand why we are using methodology from 100 years ago. For now, we have ways to identify people. They're tracking freaking COVID people, but we can't track voters.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Great point.
I mean, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah. You come up with a vid, and all of a sudden they're sending out investigators across America for anybody you might have potentially seen in the last 36 years, but to go in and vote, and that's what I'm saying. Showing up. Making it where basically you have to show up in person.
Doris writes in saying that she voted today in person to make sure her vote counts.
Yeah, and it makes it, then at least somebody somewhere saw you walk in and do that. Now,
Really? I worked a poll booth, and you know what? I'll never forget, when I came with my kids for the first time that each one of them voted, they pulled out their ID.
Yeah.
And assuming that you would need an ID. You need an ID for everything in America. You sign up for college, you need an ID. You sign up for elementary school, you need identification. Everything. They go.
Yeah.
And they both have the same. They both have the same story. They told me to put it back in. I didn't warn them ahead of time. I wanted them to actually have the experience of being told, put your ID back in. We are not to look at that.
Yeah.
That's what they were told in our local voting center when I was living in California.
Exactly.
That's what they were both told. Now, I mean, you can't make that up. They experienced it. They tell that story. They cannot believe it. Either one of them. They were just shocked. They were like, they felt like they were being punished by doing that too. The way they were talked to.
Yeah, just roll up to
unbelievable.
Roll up to your local elementary school with your 5-year-old and slow down for 5 miles an hour and kick him out the door at the school and just drive off. And that's basically what you're explaining of that. God. I mean, you just walk into the deal and say, yeah, but, if you of that. And I mean, I've known, and not I'm going to think people out, but I know the people that, maybe one of their relatives passed away or something, and they just walked into the deal and said, yeah, I'm Joe Smith. And they signed up, here's your ballot, here you go.
No way.
It happens more than you think. And
oh, my God. You guys. Okay, 2016, I was in San Diego, and we was part of this group of people that were like watching polling booth places, and we go in there, and we watch them take the ballots, and they just put them in the back of their car, driving to a loading area that was in a parking lot. No lights, no nothing. I mean, the ballots could have been lost. No one would even know. It looked like the Banana Republic. It was a joke. And I mean an absolute joke. And if I hadn't have been so scared, I would have videotaped it all. It was scary. I said to the people that were there, I go, are there any police here? You know, anybody to protect you from people trying to steal these ballots or anything else? No, it was just, what, you could not believe it. It blew my mind. It blew my mind.
And one thing, and you know, there, you know, Crook County or Cook County, Illinois, the Chicago area has always been ripe with the voter fraud. And I think it's black bucks voting or something. And the reason why the electronics thing, you know, I have a big hesitant about that. If you go back about 10 years ago with the voting machines, and we filed lawsuits and everything, and even per se won it in court per se, but then they finally said, well, you can't go in there and like what you're talking about being afraid. They said you can't monitor what was going on at the registrar, how we're counting this stuff and stuff. So amongst all this stuff, it really is, and we should.
Technology. Wait a minute. Technology is a lot different than it was 10 years ago. I mean, seriously.
True.
We can have
I will say this,
databases.
And that's what makes me more nervous about that, because it would actually, with all the stuff we know now of being able to manipulate it, you could probably do it much easier. If they can hack into our securest military stuff and everything else, what do you think they could do to pop in a voting machine?
They should poke everybody's finger and just take a blood sample and put it on the ballot, and that way you know that was the person that did it.
I mean, I'm back to...
Okay, how about this? We have it electronic, and we go in. I want both. I want cross-referencing, making sure these votes are counted.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that the poll worker gets my ballot to the distribution center. I want to make sure my vote gets counted. I want to see. I want to type in, see all of my votes. I want all of it on.
You know, I would be
at the same time.
I think one of the things, and I've advocated for, and I don't know if it probably won't ever go anywhere, but I think you should along with the lines, and I would kind of go with the electronic thing. They should give you a printout. After you go to the deal, you get a print, because you take your ballot, you throw it in the box. All you get is your little receipt that said you voted.
The little sticker?
Yeah, or the little tag that says, that they pull up. No, you should get a copy, along with when you print out, when you hit punch and it says collect, you should be getting a printout of everything. So in the future, if there's any, because they cannot, the government can't say how you vote, but you can tell everybody how you voted. And then we could all walk in there with our paperwork saying, this is how we voted, this is here it is, now what the heck is going on?
Yeah, we could have a two-tiered system.
Yes.
In-person, electronic, or three. Three levels of security. In-person, electronic, and paper. And we should have different agencies cross-referencing all this information. It is like we have got to take voting into the 21st century.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous.
I mean, I agree with that part of it, of coming up with this, because, it should be a tier, like a 2 or 3 tiered system. And let's say it's a close election and there's a recount or somebody, then we could go back and check this stuff. And if that stuff is not checking out, then we really got a problem, or we got a basis. Now you don't know. You just know whatever, whether it's electronic, paper, mail-in, or whatever. Yeah. You have no idea you have no proof that ballot is yours that's sitting in there.
It's imperative that we change the situation. And the only people that want to change it to make it more loosey-goosey is the Democrat Party. And you have to ask yourself, why?
Yes. Well, no, you don't have to ask yourself why.
They don't want ID. They want mail-in with fraud. Why are they pushing for this opening for all kinds of mistakes? Why?
I will tell you how to prove this. Go down to and they'll kind of give you some flack, but go down to your voter registration, just say, I want to start looking at the voter list. And then just start looking at the households. And when you see one that has 27 people listed at one residence, and then just casually glance at what party they're registered at. Versus the ones that maybe have one or two.
Have you actually done that? Have you actually done that?
Oh my gosh.
Hey, it will blow your... No, it's kind of like... I want to do that like the example you gave your kids. Take them down there and see how this process works, and then it sinks in your brain harder if you actually go and do it.
That's true. I mean, anything like that. That's why I didn't warn my kids ahead of time.
Right. If
so
you would have told them, it would have been, oh, that's just mom. She's nuts.
Yeah.
Whatever, yada, yada. But when they actually went there and they're, well, maybe mom isn't so nuts after all. Maybe she actually knows what she's talking about once in a while.
Exactly. It's so true. And so I agree. This is probably the most important issue of this election for other elections also, that we make sure that we know our votes are counted and not extra votes are counted.
Right.
And
Definitely.
that we have confidence in this next president, whoever the president will be.
Right.
And I think it's be Trump, but whoever they are, we have to have confidence in that.
Yes.
To have 4 years of wondering and then not be confident going forward, it would not ever feel like America.
Couldn't agree more. And boy, time flies when you're having fun.
It really does.
Yeah,
I
we're
love
just-
all your ideas, Melissa.
Yes, that on that. We'll have to do it again here real soon, but thanks for
you,
being
guys.
on with us today on IE Newswire with Steph and Roy.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Melissa.
So,
There was a lot of comments. Sorry, I didn't have a chance
yeah,
to
we'll
read them
roll
all
some.
out.
We'll roll one or two of them out there.
Stephen writes it as the president won by the Americans.
There you go. Oh no, just keep rolling them out.
Why?
You don't want me to talk.
Why? They're all kind of. A lot of them were going away though because you guys were all talking, and I want to cut you guys off. Reading them, but I do want to throw out the supporters. Thank you guys for joining the supporter page, and I do really want to go on there maybe tonight, and I can get some ideas of what you guys might want to talk about on tomorrow's show, because Fridays we like to keep it kind of lighthearted and fun. Or if you have questions for Roy and he can talk about it for an hour, you know.
Yeah. Can explain to you why the sky is blue as my
All
shirt.
the comments went away.
That's what I was about to ask. Get out of my head.
Why the what?
That's what I was about to ask.
But what do you
Okay.
think though? Is the Americans won? Stephen writes in, is the presidency won by American vote or delegates?
Well, no, it's won by the Electoral College.
And you know what? Say hi to Stephen, because you didn't say hi to
Steve.
him yesterday, and you
Hi, Stephen.
tell him you miss him and you're
Hi.
sorry. No, I'm just kidding. Carla writes in, Biden. You go, girl. Support who you want to.
Yeah, no, I mean...
We're no longer friends,
As
though.
Melissa
No, I'm
Ann
just
Murray
kidding.
said, it doesn't matter. We don't need to be sitting here arguing no matter who gets in the presidency.
Exactly.
About, well, is it legitimate or whatever, yada, yada, yada.
What?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Of that. I thought I was going to get a buzzer, so I shut up.
I thought. you
No,
were
I
too,
think
but-
it's important of that on that. If we do, and even, it's even more important no matter what's going on with the vid and the economy or stuff, Melissa said it right. If we don't have honest elections, all this other stuff doesn't matter. Then you are a banana
Exactly.
republic. And that's where so this, it is, even as you might not agree with the method.
Does Roy think Bernie Sanders might jump back in? I was trying to find that comment. I'm glad you typed it again. Since he
in
paused
this
it, do you think he'll
environment,
jump back in?
Nothing would surprise me if that. It would be pretty difficult because he'd have to do it at a write-in point like that. But until tomorrow at Friday,
See
we're
ya.
gone.